Alright, so we're going to go over the operation of the double drum winch. And so some of the first things we should note is this is the handle for the brake system if you want to let it free fall. When you get it out on top of the river, you can use this to guide it down so it doesn't just drop and cause a big commotion. But right now we have that sitting aside because actually the weight of that handle actually puts tension on that, which we know we don't want because that causes the function of it to slow down. So one of the first things we want to do is we have the weight up close to us. And so in order to get that to go out, we want to make sure that this handle is down, so that means the traversing drum is connected in with the sounding drum. And we want to release the brake and hold the handle here. And so what that does is that it takes the ratcheting system off, and that way we can back the handle out, and that should start taking the weight away from us. And so it should start heading out what would be over top of the river, but obviously we don't have a river in our backyard. So as that goes out, the sounding cable here and the traversing cable, the shiv should be doing its job and tracking it smoothly, which it appears to be doing. Now once we get that over where we want to take our weight down, we want to engage the ratchet again, take it back until it clicks one last time, and then we want to disengage the traversing drum. Now this is pretty hard to pull out, but when we lift it up, we want to make sure we kind of jiggle the upper drum so we can get that to lock down in place. So sometimes you'll have to release this ratchet to get it to go back. There we go. So now it sits all the way down in the lock. And so now when you turn the sounding drum, it should allow the weight to go down. So we let it down, and then we can engage the ratchet again. You can see right now, but lock it in place. And that should be the basic function of that. Now if you wanted to let that free fall down, if you bring your weight back up, we can use our hand brake that we have, put it in here, and when we push back on the handle, once that's locked into place and the ratchet's set, that should engage the free spool. So we just want to keep some tension on there so it doesn't fall. Now this one may not fall anyway because it's only a 15-pound weight that we have out there. So normally it would free fall down, but it's not going to right now because it's not heavy enough. Because we do try to tighten this pretty tight when we send them. You can always adjust it up here. Right now we just have a nut on ours, but normally there's a thimble on there. And so if you loosen this up, that should loosen the brake system here. We, again, try to ship them fairly tight so we don't have to worry about it. So we can take that back out. When you start driving that back up, when it gets tension on that drum, it should tighten that brake system back down so that it's back where it needs to be. So now I want to bring this back towards me. When I do that, I'm going to release the ratchet just so that I can wiggle it back into place. And we're going to push this all the way down until it locks in. Once it does that, we can reel it back in. If you want, you can kick your ratchet back in, just so it can't free spool back out. And that should bring everything back in. And if you want to get up close here, you can see how our cable is ran. They come from the back side of the drum up and over the shiv. That should cause everything to track right. Once you get close enough up here, now I have a little extra cable on my sounding drum, so it's going to overlap up top here, but for what we're demonstrating here, it'll be fine. Now I'm going to pull this in pretty close. This is probably way closer than you should be. You know, this is about 1.5 feet away from there. We should probably be further out. In order for this to function correctly, normally this cable will be tighter, but we don't have a bigger cable. And so in order to keep this from pointing almost straight up, it'd be better if we kept this thing 2 to 3 meters away from the front of this. And then you can set the weight down, take the weight off, and then bring the traveler block up and just pay close attention to make sure these stay on the shivs. So that should be about it. If there's any questions about other things, then we'll have to discuss it. Oh, I guess we can talk about this. This is the handle. If you want to let this free spool down, You can slide this handle out. Yours will have a lock to keep the handle from coming all the way off, and so that should just rest in here. When you want to engage it, to use it, just put it on there. Good.